of affairs, sad state of affairs when you start to talk about an ex-NFL great. Some revered this young man. Now suddenly it could all come to a tragic and abrupt halt, and he could see jail time that would probably span the rest of his natural life. So sad, so sad. Now, before I dive into the Richie Cognito debacle, the issue, this craziness, I do want to go back again and recognize Woody's Wings, our title sponsor, for your kind contributions and for putting us in a position that we can continue to bring you broadcasts on the Caffeine Radio Network. The show, Colorado Sports Junkies, is brought to you today with limited commercial interruptions because of Woody's Wings. And again, Woody's Wings has a new location at 700 South Buckley Road. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the area, it's just a little bit beyond Buckley in Ohio. Again, I would ask you to look for the U-Haul facility right on the corner of Buckley and Ohio. They're located in the Bristol Point Shopping Center, just right next to the A1 Boxing Complex, which is an exciting place in and of itself. And there you go and be treated to a wonderful afternoon or evening by King Graham and his family, who go a long way to establishing his restaurant as the #1 wing restaurant in all of Colorado. And I would support that 100% unequivocally. They have the best wings. Again, my favorite is a spicy yaki combination. You cannot fail. Again, Sierra, the bartender, is the reason why folks go there, along with their ambience, their environment, their food. Woody's Wings is our choice. Again, I hope you make it yours. Now, Richie Incognito, according to the Ted Wells report, he vilified Jonathan Martin. He was an animal in every way, every shape, every form with this interaction. He found ways maliciously to make life for Jonathan Martin a living hell. It also included Mike Pouncey and John Jerry, other offensive linemen on the Miami Dolphins roster, as well as there was an allegation that they also targeted an assistant trainer in this particular situation. So there are folks, according to the Ted Wells report, that say that the relationship between Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin was somewhat bipolar, not bipolar in a medical sense, but in a way of someday they were on, someday they were hot, someday they were off. It was a hot and cold type of situation. I'm certain that you guys know or have been in those types of relationships where it's somewhat playful. Some days you're a little bit annoyed with some days with someone, other days you're completely able to coexist in the same environment. They say that their relationship was a complex relationship, and so this was simply a fruit of them actually having that type of a complex relationship. And for that matter, according to Incognito's attorneys, these allegations are well overblown. But the reports simply indicate that this guy bullied Jonathan Martin inside of that locker room, and for athletes all around the country, there's no place for it. And for people in any situation, there's no place for bullying anybody. In this environment, Richie Cognito, who was supposed to be a leader, supposed to be one of the more stabilizing forces inside of the Miami Dolphins locker room, he decided to use his power and his influence to bring someone like Jonathan Martin to his knees and to tame someone like Jonathan Martin, like to bridle him, to bring him around, if you will. And there was incentive, according to some, there was documented incentive to Incognito, giving him financial incentive to actually break Jonathan Martin. Some people inside of the Dolphins organization felt he was a softie. Speaking to Jonathan Martin, they thought he was soft, and so they felt like they needed a rough guy like Richie Incognito to bring him around and to make him like the others. So he used his influence in order to, in other words, instead of putting him under his wing, he hazed him, and he used racial slurs and bigoted comments and just nasty comments towards his mother and Jonathan Martin's sister to break Jonathan Martin. It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, there is apparently right now, according to the Ted Wells report, a binder of fines leveled against Richie Incognito for his actions and other actions. So they knew who they were dealing with. So it's no different than you go to work and you go to your manager and you tell your manager, other members of the management staff that you're being harassed at work. and you want it to stop, and they do nothing about it. As a matter of fact, can you imagine a day and a time where you go to work and you tell somebody that somebody is harassing you, and instead of them stopping the action, okay, instead of them stopping the action, they decide, or you later discover, that they're actually giving bonuses on the harasser's paycheck for bringing you around, for breaking you, for making you company-ized, if you will. They wanted to dolphinize Jonathan Martin. They wanted to make him a tougher guy. Can you imagine a scenario where you had to go through your everyday life and figure out, and then you ultimately figure out that somebody has been paid to harass you because you're not exactly what the company thought they would be? They had an obligation to stop Richie Incognito before it got to the point where it got. The NFL has to get rid of Richie Incognito and not make an opportunity available for him in the future. That's our position here, and that's my position personally, because this is the type of thing that could have cost that young man to end his own life, because he dropped to those levels where he'd actually contemplated suicide. He moved away. There was conversation with he and his family members. I think they had to talk him literally and figuratively off the ledge because of what Richie Incognito did to him. We're talking about two big, physically imposing figures with the support of other offensive linemen and without the aid of administration and coaches to stop this wanton attack on a teammate. That should be a near and dear type of a relationship, a commitment to Jonathan Martin from Richie Incognito and the other veterans in the locker room, as opposed to that they turned their back on him and they made him the victim. And some would say, a person like Jonathan Martin, the only thing he's literally doing is going to show how weak he is by falling to the depths of someone who is going to take his own life. He needed to toughen up. He needed to get a tougher exterior. He's a football player. He should get thicker skin. You shouldn't have to get thicker skin in order to go about your day-to-day functions. You shouldn't have to brace yourself when you walk in the locker room and walk completely on eggshells. You shouldn't have to take a back door entrance into the locker room and hide in a corner or wait until Richie Incognito leaves the room before you can enter the room, so that you can avoid the continuous bashing and the beratement and the harassment. He shouldn't have had to do that, man. You shouldn't have to do that in your everyday lives, guys. You should not have to ever be encountered with this type of situation. And some will go back and say that Jonathan Martin has to toughen up he has to be more committed. That's the classic case of making the victim the villain, and we're not going to allow that to happen. We should not allow that to happen as a society, nor should you. If you witnessed it, we have an obligation to come forward and report folks like Richie Incognito, and not allow the door to open. The door of opportunity to open again for a person like him to return back to the locker room. He should take his 350 pounds and figure out a way to work at McDonald's or somewhere, or for some company that is more tolerant or unappreciative of people who want to be humane. Excuse me. Close the door in the NFL on Jonathan Martin, or on Richie Incognito, and give Jonathan Martin the help and the support that he needs in order to return to normalcy, and do everything that you can, go above and beyond to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And for that matter, Jonathan Martin, even if he doesn't gain his original form and go back to some NFL team, I don't know if the Dolphins will receive him again. I'm certain that Richie Incognito does not have an opportunity with the Dolphins. Many general managers across the country say they don't have any room for him as well. Teddy Bruschi and Darren Woodson, they weighed in recently, and they said Richie Incognito is done. He's a thing of the past. They wouldn't, if they were general managers today, they would not have an opportunity for him. And so that's the way that it should ultimately be. And if you don't feel like Richie Incognito is a horrible person, read his tweets that he sent out, and he's not contrite. He's not sympathetic to the situation, and for that matter, he does not feel like he did anything wrong. If you have a guy like that who doesn't understand the circumstances and doesn't feel like he doesn't have any way of owning up to his behavior, you have to distance yourself from somebody like that before he brings the organization down. And as to Mike Pouncey and John Jerry, stop being followers, okay? Don't follow the lead of somebody like a Richie Incognito. You probably would have been better served, if you still have employment, you probably would have been better served to come off of that ship and help Jonathan Martin out of his situation. But anyone who buried their head in the sand, anybody who knew that it was going on inside of the Dolphins organization should be released. They should be released of their employment, and the NFL should go above and beyond to make sure that they're barred from competing minimum a couple years in the NFL. I would say even if you wanted to go further and just not allow them to participate again, allow them to find another course, another source of income, I'm all good with that. I'm completely all good with that. So that's enough of my rant on Richie Incognito. I hope that this Ted Wells report is found to be completely credible. It seems as though sources that are quoted within this, and if you guys want to go online and read the Ted Wells report, it completely divulges in great detail the allegations and everything that surrounds this particular Incognito Martin story. So that's all the time that I have today on Colorado Sports Junkies. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Certainly do appreciate you getting up on a Sunday morning. We run just a couple minutes over, but I'm okay with that. And then we'll be back on air again Wednesday night from 6 o'clock to 7 p.m. as we bring you another episode of Colorado Sports Junkies right here on the Caffeine Radio Network. Our lineup is completely set for the remainder of the month. We hope that you guys do have an opportunity to tune into the Olympic action from Sochi, as it's, I believe we should have some the final period of United States hockey right now, and the NBA All-Star game this evening, 5 p.m. Again, hope we get a competitive matchup there. And again, I do encourage you folks to jump on board and get ready for high school prep basketball action here in Colorado. And you should see some exciting action all around the state. And to Michael Sams, again, your courage right now is second to none, and I just hope that you do have a smooth transition into the NFL, and that those who know and have heard your story right now, that they're willing to receive you as just a football player right now, just as a person right now, and be forgiven of whatever they feel that you've done wrong right now, and just receive you as a normal, everyday citizen, and I hope that you get all the support that you need in order to have a productive and lucrative NFL career. As to Darren Sharper, good luck to you, and I certainly hope that these allegations are not true, but if they are not true, or if they are true, then I hope that you have your day in court, and ultimately that you never see the outside of a cell ever again. And as to Richie Incognito, good riddance. Good riddance. You're a bully, and there's no room for bullying in our society. And I hope that the NFL bars you from further consideration, and that no team in the NFL ever considers you for a roster spot again. And to Jonathan Martin, I hope that you return to normalcy and you get yourself back to where you were in terms of productivity on and off the football field again. And never, ever, in my final thoughts, never, ever let an act of bullying go unrecognized or unreported because it's unacceptable. You are just as guilty. You're just as much of the you're a part of the harassment if you allow those attacks to go on unreported. You're as guilty as a person who actually is a part of the act. So you do have to report those acts 100% of the time, so that someone can actually have an escape from that type of horrible activity. So that's just my final thought for today. And again, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in this morning, and look forward to bringing another episode on Wednesday. Hope you have a safe and happy Sunday, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in.